This is selective outrage from Democrats. North Carolina has redrawn their lines about 6 times in the last 6 elections. Why? Because the Democrats always go to court and always try to get new lines that are favorable to them. Sue till blue. That's the mantra that they use.
Sue till blue?
Sue till blue. Democrats will sue on any map until it's blue. They do their mid-decade redistricting in the courts, and we have seen it for 3 years. And that is what's happening here. They've gone to Utah this cycle and sued to get the map drawn for themselves. Like, partisan redistricting is a fact of life. And now
this isn't partisan.
This is stunning. So the Virginia Democrats just conducted an unconstitutional power grab, trying to change the state constitution via referendum, and they did it through an illegal process. The state Supreme Court actually said you can remedy the process by doing it legally next time. Here's how you do that.
Yes, can you imagine that the Democrats are discussing lowering the retirement age of the VA Supreme Court to 54, which will force the entire court to resign, including the 3 that voted with them, then stack the court with 7 justices who will have pledged to reverse the redistricting decision. This is your Democrat Party, power-hungry thugs, willing to burn a high court to the ground that dares to disagree with them. They should never have power again. This is according to Tim. He shared an article from the New York Times.
The New York Times is reporting about these machinations at least being discussed by some Democrats at high levels, one of which, as you just detailed, Joey, involves taking out the entire state Supreme Court. Just basically going back retroactively and saying, oh, you're all too old. The new cutoff is 54. You're all ineligible to be justices, so you're out. Filling 7 seats with their own hacks and doing it again. That is banana republic, like total institution destroying madness. Then the backup plan that they're talking about doing, apparently, is to invalidate the 2020 constitutional amendment that was overwhelmingly supported by Virginians, that created the independent redistricting process that has actually brought about a fair map. And then the legislature would say, okay, that one doesn't count anymore. Now we'll draw these new districts. It's wild. I think there are some Democrats tapping the brakes on it, which they should be. If they seriously consider either of these things, it is seismic and like a red flag moment for the democracy that they pretend to care about. Don't do that.
First off, I want to be clear about this. As of now, this has not been confirmed. These are what people are saying high-level Democrats are talking about. So it could be true. It could also not be true. Now, if it's true and they were to do this, it would be absolutely disgusting. It would be a sign to the rest of the nation. What's the best way to put this? An unequivocal, undebatable sign of how much Democrats are willing to do whatever they want or can do to accumulate power. So I'll hold more of my judgment on this as more details come out and we can see if we can get responses from higher up Democrats. But realistically, Democrats tried to get this referendum done in about, let's say, 6 months or so. The actual constitutional process that is demanded by the Constitution in order to enact a constitutional amendment is like a minimum of like 18 months. At least in this scenario, it would have easily been a minimum of 18 months. Because think about this. What you have to do is you have to get the amendment passed in the current legislative body. Then you have to wait till the next election, which would be about 2 years from now. And then it has to pass after that election with new representatives, along with new senators, likely state senators. So Democrats tried to trample all over the Constitution. Literally, they tried to take a process that would require 2 years and shove it down into 6 months. And the constitutional amendment process was designed to stop exactly things like this.
I think that the reaction to what happened in Virginia is that it is the perfect encapsulation of the asymmetry between the two sides, where we have independent redistricting commissions in all of the Democratic weapons. And, even when you go to the voters, even when 3 million people show up to vote in a referendum that, based on some small technicality, all of those voters' voices are going to be silenced. At the same time that we have Republicans in Florida, in Texas, in North Carolina, possibly South Carolina, Tennessee, all who've just decided by fiat that they're going to redraw their states' maps. I mean, basically ushering in elected legislatures, but redrawing the state maps without a single person weighing in on this stuff, basically ushering in Jim Crow 2.0 in the South. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a point where we see no black representation in any of these southern states. And so I think it's a wake-up call.
As I said last week, I guess you didn't watch the show.
They're not supposed to.
You wouldn't know.
They're literally not supposed to take that into account.
But I said, we're not living in the future. It would be nice if that was where. And we are way different than we were 20 years ago, 50 years ago. The world is very different. And I've certainly taken my shit from the left for pointing out constantly that they are hyper-focused on race. And when they say things like, racism has never been worse, you're just ridiculous. But we are also not living in the future. Show this map, please. This is what the map could look like in the South, of what it used to look like. See those blue? Those are blue districts. This is what it's going to look like now. There are districts that have been carved out so that minorities are represented, for sure. That is racial gerrymandering. It has to happen.
Yes, in 2026, we are still focused on issues linking to race. I'm shocked. If you take a look at what is happening, redrawing these maps, it has actually exposed a lot of these people. Yes, the Supreme Court came out the other time and said this should not be happening, but instead, it has stirred up Democrats to a level I've not seen in a while. You know, Democrats have been exposed for suggesting this. Yeah, if this is true. Taking a look at this, the New York Times is reporting about these mechanizations at least being discussed by some Democrats at a high level, one of which involves taking out the entire state Supreme Court, just basically going back retroactively and saying, oh, you are all too old, the new cutoff is 54. You are all ineligible to be justices, so you are out filling 7 seats with their own hacks and doing it again. Then the backup plan, that is, they are talking about doing, apparently it is to invalidate the 2020 constitutional amendment that was overwhelmingly supported by Virginians that created the independent and redistricting process that has actually brought about a fair map. And then the legislature would say, okay, that one doesn't count anymore. Now we will redraw this new district. It's wild. I think there are some Democrats tapping the brakes on it, which they should be. If they seriously consider either of these things, it is seismic and like a red flag moment for the democracy that they pretend to care about. Don't do this. You know, it is shameful and crazy at the same time to actually even think this way. If the Supreme Court take a decision and because it doesn't favor you, the next step you are thinking is to pack them. I don't know. This is ridiculous to me. Someone told me on my comment section, don't stop talking about US politics. Talk about politics in your country. I told the person, if you watch most of my videos, I usually mention what is going on in my country. Sometimes I have a different channel that I talk about that. What I report here is nothing but the truth. I've been doing this for almost 6 years now. So if you find it to be offensive, I don't know, maybe unsubscribe and go to somewhere else. I want to appreciate people supporting, sharing out the videos every single day. And as of the short clips you see at the end, that is for a white algorithm. You can always skip.
And Republicans are winning. It seemed only a few weeks ago, maybe months ago, that it would be impossible for the Democrats to lose this.
Maximum warfare everywhere, all the time.
Oh, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Missouri, Ohio, Tennessee, Alabama, Louisiana, and soon South Carolina.
Winning the redistricting. Technicality or not, it's a huge loss for Democrats.
This is about white people in the South making sure that black people have no voice.
You know, you get caught in a moment.
It's always hip hop the videos.
Sidewalk.
Right. Spencer Pratt, who's running for mayor of Los Angeles.
Who's doing a great job.
Unable to laugh at him.
Inside, they started
It'll be more access
to the leader of the free world.
This week, which was the state of Virginia, they gerrymandered the state.
Redistricting. It's going to lose their congressional representation. How do you think?
Minutes until the bars.
I have 300.
Well, I said Democrat.
Stop taking our voting rights away.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I've been texting with folks.
Trump is a good friend.
Well, then the Republicans are going to lose because I do not.
If I see one more person from the media or a content creator talk about how what is happening in Virginia, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama is a loss for the Democratic Party, I'm going to lose my mind. You have lost the plot. This is a loss for the people it's impacting, and you need to get it right in your reporting. We need the Democrats, I understand that, to fight fascism. I get it, but we also